Etnaland, il parco divertimenti della Sicilia, un vulcano di emozioni.
This story starts in the Italian region of Sicily, precisely near the Etna volcano. Here, in the late 70s, Giuseppe Rossello opened the La Pergola family farm establishment. Initially, everything seemed to go well, but agricultural activity started to decline towards the end of the decade. Eventually, at the start of the 80s, Giuseppe bought the animals of a circus located near Palermo that went bankrupt and inaugurated Il Parco Zoo di Sicilia. This zoological park reached at the apex 200,000 visitors and led to the creation of another park, this time focused on the reconstruction of prehistorical ambiences. Il Parco della Preistoria later opened in the 80s, still standing today. Towards the late 90s, Giuseppe's son Francesco decided to shift the nature of the park. As a result, he bought several water park equipments, and the new Etnaland Waterpark opened in 2001, continuing the streak of success obtained with the earlier sections. Several millions of euros were invested in the following years in new slides and also some rides, such as Jungle Splash, the River Rapids, and the Log Flume. Meanwhile, the zoological section was resized in 2004 due to water park expansion and eventually closed in 2006, sitting vacant for several years. In the first year of the 2010s, the news came. Etnaland would expand on the grounds of the old zoological section, building a theme park section. Set to open in 2013, Etnaland would represent the second huge park to open in Italy during the 2010s. Magicland, at the time Rainbow Magicland, had opened in 2011, while Cinecittà World was to open a year later than the Sicilian Park in 2014. The investment led to the complex becoming the biggest park in South Italy, with a total of 280,000 square meters of extension, of which 112,500,000 only for the theme park. The theme park was inaugurated in 2013, was given some additions during the following season, and has been successfully operating ever since. After this bit of history, we are now ready to jump into the lineup of Etnaland, for which we'll take into consideration only the theme park. Currently, as of this year, the park features 37 attractions from top quality manufacturers such as Mack Rides, Zamperla, SNS, and many more. Let's dive into the main rides. And we start off with The Storm, a Mack Rides mega coaster. A year before Nigloland in France opened Alpina Blitz, Etnaland built the only Mack Rides roller coaster currently in operation in Italy, which is not a water coaster, because otherwise also Actium counts. The Storm is the park's most famous and recognizable attraction. This roller coaster, which for the most part has a layout similar to the incoming Megalite, takes riders up 32 meters in height, before dropping them into a layout full of twists, turns, going up, down, before ending the 800 meters long experience with an inline twist. The ride's trains, which seat a total of 16 riders, also feature light-up strips on the sides that strike in the night skies. Remaining on the roller coaster section, El Dorado S&S Mine Train. This is the park's second biggest coaster, manufactured by S&S and being their only installation of the Mine Train coaster model. El Dorado spinning consists of rockwork all around the ride's area. The coaster has a max height of 21 meters and is 579 meters long, sending riders on a layout full of hills, ups, downs, and swooping turns in and out of the rocks. On the flat ride department, we start off with Portico, a Soriani top spin. Currently, this is the only top spin ride operating at a fixed park in Italy, as the top ride machine of Movieland closed in 2018 and Giravolta in Miragica has been abandoned since 2019. Portico was manufactured by Soriani and initially sported a yellow and red gradient color scheme before being repainted to the white and blue one, which sports currently. The ride differs from a standard top spin, as the two arms can move independently from one another. This gives it the ability to do wild moves than a standard top spin. For example, a Haas top spin like water spin in Tyrrell. We then talk about Quasar as a Perla Disco. This flat ride here is themed to space, and as such, a planet with rings is located in the middle of the rocking disc. Quasar is the standard U-shaped disco from Zamperla. It seats 40 riders per cycle and has also appeared in the second season of the game show Top 1, which was held in Etnaland. Then we have Etnaland Tower, an S&S combo tower. This is the same model as Mirabilandia's oil towers, but it combines the functionalities of both in a single structure. The Etnaland Tower starts off with a space shot cycle, launch up the 60-meter tower, and then bouncing up and down. Once this is done, the gondola switches to the turbo drop cycle. It returns slowly to the top before dropping down and again doing some bounces before eventually stopping. The ride is the park's tallest attraction and is the joint second tallest drop tower in Italy, after the aforementioned oil towers. We then have The School, the park's main dark ride. The theming is a school haunted by the spirits of the professors and a collaborator. This is an interactive dark ride, but it differs from the others such as Jumanji, Reset, Antic, as instead of guns and targets you have to shoot at for getting points, you are posed questions which you have to answer correctly in order to get your score up. It's actually a really creative way to do an interactive dark ride. And the final big ride I'm going to mention is Jungle Splash. This ride was built in 2010, 3 years before the actual theme park, and was incorporated into the theme park section when it opened. Jungle Splash is an intimate ship-to-ship which reaches a max height of 25 meters. The ride's theming is inspired by a rite of initiation of the population of Vanuatu, an island country, and as such it features extensive exotic theming. And I mean, it's quite impressive. Outside of those 5 rides I mentioned you, the park also features a wide array of supporting rides, such as the Hip-Hop Coaster, Revo Rock 360, the Smurfs themed land, the themed rides dedicated to the 44 Gatti animated series, Dragon River, and Crocodile Rapids. It also featured a cable lift ride called La Funiria, which takes the guests all around the complex perimeter. Now, let's go into the final part of this video. Why Etnaland is obscure? This is the main question that actually is the reason why I decided to do this video. I am going to try and answer. First of all, I'd like to mention that I have never been to Etnaland or Sicily in general, and this is all based on my own thoughts. Let's start off with location, which is actually a big factor in the park's obscurity. Etnaland, as you can see from this photo, is located in a plot of land surrounded by farmlands, off any major road and approximately 30 minutes from the Catania airport. The park's main audience is the populations that reside near the Etna volcano and the city of Catania, which hosts 3,500,000 in the metropolitan area. The park's obscurity, in my opinion, is also fueled due to the region it's placed in. Sicily hosts near 5 million inhabitants, but lacks infrastructures and quick ways to reach the island from mainland Italy. Also, partly due to the pandemic, in the later years, prices have risen to travel to the region. Etnaland also faces competition by the other parks, as the ordinary guests often chooses to go to the nearest park at home, Gardaland, Mirabiland, Movieland, maybe 1-2 times a year at most, and call it a day. This is accentuated by the aforementioned words I spent on the park's location, which in turn accentuates this obscurity. Also due to the presence of several other tourist attractions in the surrounding areas, such as the Etna volcano itself, the city of Catania, and the surrounding small towns, added to the other magnificent attractions you can find in the whole island of Sicily. Let's be serious and try to think in a tourist mindset. You go to Sicily for what reason? To visit Palermo, Catania, Siracusa, Trapani, the Valley of Temples in Agrigento, go to the sea to try the culinary traditions that are really good in Sicily, and not to go to a theme park. Third factor we are going to touch is marketing. While other parks invest on social media campaigns, TV ads, and dedicated teams for the social media management, Etnaland seems to not invest in this compartment enough, and thus fails to reach the same engagement the others have on social media. The parks also doesn't seem to do ads on television or on billboards, limiting their possibility to attract larger audiences. The fourth point I'm going to touch is about investment and stagnation. Although the water park has reached quite some fame in Sicily and has received a lot of new additions up until 2021, the theme park is not on the same level. After consolidating their initial lineup up until 2015, the second year, the third season of operation, the rides compartment stagnated the following season. Etnaland's last rides that were added were targeted towards families and small kids, while the last major rides all date back between 2013, the opening year, and 2015. For the flat rides, the last biggest one, well, medium size, but it is rated as adrenaline. Rock 360, 2015. While for the coasters, the last major coasters were El Dorado and the Torre, 2013. The theme park has not received, apart from the Smurfs land, the 44 Gatti land, substantial investments in those years, and seems to rely on what has been added during the first 2 years of operation, with no new huge rides or coasters in sight for the near future. The last point I'm going to touch is the poor capacity to compete locally and internationally. To all the concerns above, add that Etnaland doesn't have a strong appeal. The park's theming, apart from major rides such as Jungle Splash, El Dorado, the River Rapids, the Rap, and the Noctium, is not extensive, and the lineup of rides sadly doesn't allow the park to compete efficiently with the competitors. Outside of the storm, Etnaland's lineup is either family rides from medium-sized to small-sized, and especially those latter ones have a low appeal, or rides that a more seasoned enthusiast could perceive as already present on the Italian market. For example, we can find Disco in Leolandia, which is the same, almost the same to Quasar, or the towers in Mirabilandia, which, apart from being two separate ones with different cycles, are basically the same as the Etnaland Tower. And thus, a more seasoned enthusiast perceives those as similar experiences that are present in other parks. This hinders the park's capability to compete locally and also internationally, as the lack of investment in marketing also doesn't spark interest from outsiders to come and pay a visit to the park, even for just one time. Those were the five major reasons I tried to explain on my own on why Etnaland is obscure, and this could also apply to a certain extent to other parks in Italy like Cinecittà World, Magic Land, Cavallino Matto. But in this case, I decided to do a really in-depth video because Etnaland has indeed potential, and this potential to me seems that it is not used enough, because the base is good to a certain extent. I mean, we have the storm, which is probably the Italy's most unknown thrill coaster. We have some good rides, even some good theming, and yet the park doesn't get the same attention both from locals and internationally. And so those were the five reasons I kind of extrapolated on why Etnaland sits in this state. Well, guys, if you enjoyed this content, like, subscribe, comment, and let me know what you think. And this is the end. Goodbye.